Welcome to your deep dive into human design. We've got your charts and a stack of sources, including the definitive book of human design. We're going to explore how it can be a roadmap to understanding your energy, the way you interact with the world, and even how you make decisions.
It's like a personalized instruction manual, but instead of assembling furniture, you're assembling a deeper understanding of yourself.
I love that analogy. So, human design pulls from a lot of different areas: ancient wisdom, astrology, the I Ching. How do all these pieces fit together?
Human design takes these ancient systems and combines them with modern science, things like quantum physics and genetics. It creates this unique system that looks at your energetic blueprint, your predispositions and potential.
Okay, so it's not just about personality types, it's about energy.
Exactly. In fact, one of the most intriguing ideas is that a major shift happened in human consciousness back in 1987.
1987, what happened then?
A supernova exploded in a nearby galaxy. And stay with me here. According to human design, the neutrinos released during this event actually impacted our consciousness.
Neutrinos, those tiny particles that pass through everything. I remember those from science class. But how could they change us?
Think of neutrinos as messengers carrying information. Human design suggests that the 1987 supernova shifted us from seven-centered to nine-centered beings.
Okay, you've lost me. What are these centers?
Imagine energy centers in your body, sort of like chakras, but with a different focus. Before 1987, we operated with seven centers, and the supernova activated two more.
So basically, we got a cosmic upgrade.
You could say that. And this upgrade changes how we make decisions. Human design suggests that our minds may no longer be the best tool for that.
Wait, so you're saying we shouldn't trust our minds? That goes against everything we're taught.
It's not that our minds are useless, but it's about recognizing that there might be other, more aligned ways of making decisions. This leads us to the concept of the two crystals.
Two crystals. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. What are these crystals all about?
Human design says we have a personality crystal, which represents your conscious self, the you that you think you are. And then there's the design crystal, representing your unconscious blueprint, your true nature.
So it's like two different versions of ourselves. How do they interact?
Think of it like this. Your personality crystal is the passenger in a car. Your design crystal is the vehicle itself, but there's a separate driver at the wheel.
Okay, so who's this mysterious driver?
That's where your type, strategy, and authority come into play. These are key components in human design that help you understand how to navigate life in a way that's aligned with your true nature.
Okay, let's start with the types. I know there are four, but what makes each one unique?
Each type has a distinct energy, a way of interacting with the world, and a specific strategy for navigating life. Let's start with the manifestors. Imagine them as trailblazers, here to initiate action and create change.
So if I'm getting this right, manifestors are the ones who make things happen.
They're the ones who have that go-getter energy.
Wow.
And their aura is closed and repelling, which means they tend to impact others without even trying.
I bet that can be a challenge, especially for manifestor children, always pushing boundaries.
You hit the nail on the head. They're independent and often butt heads with authority figures.
Hmm.
And when they're not operating in alignment with their design, they're not self-theme, the way their frustration shows up is anger.
It's like their energy is constantly pushing against resistance. What about the generators? What makes them tick?
Generators are all about responding to life, not initiating. They have this powerful sacral energy center, a wellspring of life force energy that's designed to be engaged.
Responding, not initiating. Interesting. So
Yeah.
how does a generator know what to respond to?
That's where the sacral response comes in. It's a gut feeling, a deep or that comes from their body, not their mind. Little generator kids actually make these sounds naturally.
But they're often told to be quiet, aren't they? I can see how that would shut down their natural way of knowing.
Exactly. And that can lead to a lot of frustration for generators because they're not living in alignment with their energy. When they do tap into that sacral response, they find incredible satisfaction and energy.
It's like they have this internal compass that's always pointing them in the right direction.
And speaking of being in the right place at the right time, let's talk about projectors.
Okay, projectors, they always seem to have this laser-like focus. What's their deal?
Projectors are here to guide and manage, but their energy works differently. They need to wait for the invitation to be recognized for their unique gifts before they jump in.
Wait for the invitation. It seems passive, but I guess it's more about discerning where their energy is truly valued.
You got it. When a projector is recognized and invited into a role that fits their design, they become incredibly valuable assets. Their energy is focused and penetrating, allowing them to see the potential in others.
But I can imagine it's frustrating to constantly be waiting for that recognition.
Absolutely. When projectors aren't recognized, they can fall into their not-self theme of bitterness. It's like they're standing in the spotlight, but no one sees them.
It's a reminder that we all need to feel seen and appreciated for our unique gifts. Okay, we have one type left. Tell me about the reflectors.
Reflectors are incredibly rare. They have all of their centers open, meaning they're constantly reflecting the energy of the people and environments around them. Imagine them as mirrors to the world.
Wow. That sounds both amazing and potentially overwhelming, to be so open and receptive all the time.
It definitely has its challenges. Reflectors have a unique connection to the lunar cycle. Their energy ebbs and flows with the moon, and it takes a full 28 days for them to process experiences.
So they're not designed to make quick decisions or judgments. They need time to reflect and allow things to settle.
Right. And in a world that's always pushing for instant gratification, this can be difficult. Their not self-theme is disappointment, because when they try to conform or make decisions prematurely, they often end up feeling lost.
It's like they're being asked to be a still photograph when their nature is to be a constantly changing kaleidoscope.
That's a beautiful way to put it. But when reflectors embrace their reflective nature and trust their process, they experience a sense of wonder and peace. They offer a unique perspective that comes from their ability to see the world through so many different lenses.
So we've got these 4 types, each with its own strategy for navigating the world. This is starting to feel like a whole new way of understanding myself and the people around me.
And we've only just scratched the surface. We still need to explore strategy and authority, the core of living your human design.
And that's where things get really personal, right? Because strategy and authority are all about making choices that are aligned with your unique design.
You got it. And that's what we'll dive into next.
All right, I'm ready to dive deeper into strategy and authority. We've talked about the 4 types: manifestors, generators, projectors, and reflectors. But how do strategy and authority fit into all of this?
Think of your strategy as your navigation system. It's based on your type and tells you how you're designed to interact with the world in a way that minimizes resistance and maximizes flow.
So it's like a set of instructions tailored specifically for me, based on my energetic blueprint.
Exactly. And your authority is like your internal compass, your inner guidance system for decision-making. It tells you which part of your being to listen to when you're faced with a choice.
That makes sense. So instead of relying on my mind, which human design suggests might not always be the most reliable, I can learn to trust a different part of myself.
Precisely. And different types have different authorities. For instance, you mentioned that sometimes you struggle with trusting your gut feelings. Well, you've got a defined sacral center, so your authority is sacral.
Sacral authority. That rings a bell. It's all about those guttural and responses.
You got it. That's your body speaking to you, giving you a clear yes or no. And for generators, it's the most aligned way to make decisions.
But honestly, sometimes it's hard to distinguish those subtle sensations from all the noise in my head.
That's a common experience. We're so conditioned to think our way through everything. But here's a tip. Start paying attention to your sacral responses in everyday situations.
Like when?
When someone asks you a question, notice your initial response before your mind kicks in. Does your energy expand with a or contract with an
So I can even practice this when someone asks me if I want another cup of coffee.
Exactly. It might seem silly, but those little decisions are a great way to start tuning into your sacral response. And over time, it will become louder and clearer.
I love that. It's like building a muscle. The more I use it, the stronger it gets.
And once you start trusting your sacral authority, you'll be amazed at how much easier decision-making becomes. You'll have this inner knowing that guides you toward what's truly aligned for you.
No more second guessing or overthinking. That sounds liberating. But what about the other types? What are their authorities like?
Well, since we have your chart here, I can tell you that you often attract people with emotional authority.
Well, that's interesting. So how does that work?
People with emotional authority need to ride their emotional wave before making a decision. It's about waiting for clarity to emerge, rather than making choices in the heat of the moment.
So it's not about suppressing their emotions, but rather using them as a source of information.
Exactly. And this can be challenging in a world that often expects us to make instant decisions. People with emotional authority need time to process and allow their feelings to inform their choices.
I can see how that would lead to more authentic and aligned decisions. Now, what about manifestors and projectors? What are their authorities like?
Manifestors with their initiating energy often have ego authority. It's about listening to their gut instinct, that sense of, I know what I want, that comes from their heart center.
So it's about trusting their inner drive, that impulse to take action and make things happen.
Right. And for projectors, their authority can vary, but many of them have what's called self-projected authority. This means they gain clarity by hearing themselves talk things through.
So it's not about seeking advice from others, but rather about listening to their own voice as they process their thoughts and ideas.
Exactly. Projectors often have a way of seeing things from a different perspective. And when they trust their own inner knowing, they can offer valuable insights and guidance.
This is all so fascinating. It's like each authority is a different language for communicating with our inner wisdom. But we've been talking a lot about energy centers. Can you remind me about those again?
Of course. Remember, centers are like energy processing hubs in the body graph. Each one governs a different aspect of your being.
Okay. I remember you saying some centers are defined, meaning they have consistent energy, and others are undefined, meaning they're open and receptive. How does that play out in real life?
Well, let's look at your chart. You have an undefined head center.
What does that mean for me?
The head center is all about mental energy, inspiration, and pressure to know. Since yours is undefined, you're likely to be very open to taking in other people's thoughts and ideas.
That's funny. People always tell me I'm a good listener. But sometimes I feel like I'm bombarded with so many different perspectives that it's hard to know what I think.
That's a common experience for people with an undefined head center. The key is to not take in all that mental energy personally. It's like you have an antenna that's picking up signals from everyone around you.
So instead of trying to filter it all out, I can learn to observe those thoughts and ideas without getting caught up in them.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, with an undefined head center, you have the potential to see things from multiple perspectives, which can be a huge asset in problem solving and creativity.
I never thought of it that way. So it's not a weakness, it's just a different way of processing information. What about other centers?
Well, you also have a defined heart center. This center is all about willpower, self-worth, and the pressure to prove oneself.
Okay, what does that mean for me?
With a defined heart center, you likely have a strong sense of willpower and a desire to make a difference in the world.
That definitely resonates with me. I've always been driven and ambitious. But sometimes I push myself too hard and struggle with self-doubt.
That's the not-self theme of the heart center.
Yeah.
The pressure to prove yourself. It's like you're constantly trying to win approval and validation.
And that can be exhausting. So how can I work with this energy in a healthier way?
The key is to remember that your worth isn't tied to your accomplishments. You're already worthy just by being you.
That's easier said than done.
It takes practice. But start by acknowledging your accomplishments without judgment. And instead of focusing on what you need to do to prove yourself, focus on what brings you joy and fulfillment.
So it's about shifting from a place of doing to a place of being.
Exactly. And that's a powerful shift that can transform your relationship with yourself and the world around you.
This is starting to feel like a whole new way of understanding my energy and how it impacts my life. I'm curious, you mentioned gates and channels earlier. What are those and how do they play into all of this?
Remember we talked about centers as energy processing hubs. Well, gates are like entry and exit points for energy, and channels are the connections between centers.
So it's like a complex network of energy flowing through our being.
Precisely. And the specific gates and channels that are activated in your chart create your unique energetic blueprint, influencing everything from your personality traits to your career choices to your relationships.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. So what do my gates and channels reveal about me?
Well, we could spend hours exploring that. But one interesting thing I noticed is that you have a channel defined that connects your sacral center to your throat center.
What does that mean?
This channel is called the channel of manifestation, and it gives you the potential to turn your ideas into reality.
Wow, that's exciting. But how do I tap into that potential?
By trusting your sacral response and allowing your energy to flow naturally. When you're working on something that truly lights you up, you'll have the energy and stamina to see it through. But it's important to remember that you don't have to force things. Allow your creativity to emerge organically.
So it's about working with my energy, not against it.
Exactly. And when you do that, amazing things can happen.
This is all so insightful, but with so many different elements in human design, it can feel a bit overwhelming. Is there anything else that's important to understand about my chart?
Yes, actually. There's one more key aspect we need to discuss. Your profile. It's like the costume you wear in this life, influencing how you present yourself to the world and how others perceive you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's my profile and what does it reveal about me?
Your profile is 24, which means you're a natural hermit with a talent for building connections.
A hermit. That's funny because I do love my alone time. But I also enjoy connecting with people. How do those two sides coexist?
It's all about finding the right balance. Your two-line gives you a natural inclination towards introspection and a desire to retreat from the world at times. But your four-line creates a magnetic energy that draws people to you. You have a gift for building relationships and creating community.
So it's about honoring my need for solitude while also allowing myself to be seen and connect with others.
Exactly. And when you embrace both sides of your profile,
Hmm.
you can create a life that feels both fulfilling and authentic.
This is all starting to make so much sense. It's like I'm finally getting a glimpse of the bigger picture, understanding how all these different pieces of myself fit together.
And this is just the beginning of your human design journey. There's always more to explore, more to learn about yourself and how you interact with the world.
I can't wait to dive deeper. But before we move on, is there anything else about my chart that stands out to you?
Yes, actually, you have a split definition.
A split definition, what does that mean?
It means that the energy flow in your chart isn't continuous. There's a break, a split between defined centers.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand. What does that mean for me, practically?
But with a split definition, you may feel a sense of incompleteness, or like you're constantly searching for something outside yourself to make you whole.
That does resonate with me. I've always felt like a bit of a puzzle, like I'm missing a piece.
But here's the thing. You don't need to find that missing piece outside yourself. It's already within you. The key is to embrace your split, to see it as a source of strength, not a weakness.
So instead of trying to fix or complete myself, I can learn to appreciate the unique energy of my split definition.
Exactly. And when you do that, you'll find that the right people and opportunities naturally come into your life to bridge the gap.
That's reassuring to hear. It's like I'm finally starting to understand myself on a deeper level.
And that's the power of human design. It gives you a language to understand your energy, your strengths, your challenges, and your potential.
I'm so grateful for these insights. It feels like a whole new world has opened up. I'm really starting to see how all these pieces of human design fit together. The types, the strategies, the authority, the centers, the gates, the channels, even the profile and split definition. It's a lot to take in, but it's incredibly insightful.
It's like we've been piecing together a puzzle, and now we're starting to see the full picture. And the best part is this isn't just about understanding yourself on a theoretical level. It's about actually living your design.
That's what I'm most curious about. How do I actually take all this information and apply it to my life?
It starts with awareness. Now that you have a deeper understanding of your energetic blueprint, pay attention to how your energy flows throughout the day. Notice how you feel in different situations, how you react to people, and how your decisions play out.
So it's about becoming a keen observer of myself.
Exactly. And remember, human design isn't about putting yourself in a box. It's about giving you a framework for self-discovery. It's about experimenting and seeing what works for you.
So if I'm feeling drained or frustrated, it could be a sign that I'm not operating in alignment with my design.
It very well could be. For instance, as a generator with sacral authority, you mentioned that you sometimes struggle with trusting your gut feelings. Start paying attention to those subtle and responses. Notice how your energy expands or contracts in different situations.
And if I get a no from my sacral, even if my mind is telling me yes, I should honor that.
Absolutely. Trust your gut. It's your inner compass guiding you toward what's truly aligned for you.
That's a big shift for me, but I'm willing to try. It's like learning to speak a new language, the language of my own energy.
And the more you practice, the more fluent you'll become. You'll start to recognize the patterns, the themes that urge in your life. You'll learn to make decisions that feel good in your body, not just in your head.
And that's what it's all about, right? Finding that sense of alignment, of living in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Precisely. And human design gives you the tools to do just that. It empowers you to embrace your uniqueness, your strengths, your challenges, and your potential.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. It's like a whole new world has opened up for me.
And it's just the beginning. Remember, this is a lifelong process of self-discovery. There's always more to explore, more to learn about yourself and how you interact with the world.
I can't thank you enough for sharing your expertise and insights with me. This has been truly transformative.
It's been my pleasure. And I leave you with this. What aspect of your design are you most excited to experiment with?
Honestly, I'm most excited to start trusting my sacral response. I'm curious to see what happens when I make decisions from a place of deep inner knowing rather than overthinking everything. I'm also intrigued by this idea of embracing my split definition and seeing how it shapes my relationships and experiences.
That's wonderful. Remember, this is your journey. Take what resonates with you, experiment, play, and see what unfolds.
Thank you. I will. And for those of you listening, I encourage you to explore human design for yourself. It's a powerful tool for self discovery, and it might just change your life. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.